Have you ever wondered what the world's first game was? Many people think that the world's first game is Tennis for Two, but actually the world's first game is Nimrod. This game was developed in 1951 by a British engineer named John Banner exclusively for the Ferranti digital computer. Nimrod was a strategy game in which two players took turns removing wooden pieces from a set of branches. The goal of this game was to destroy all pieces by the opponent. Due to hardware limitations at the time, Nimrod was limited to multiple players and displayed on a cathode ray tube display when running on a Ferranti computer. But exactly 7 years later, the tennis game for two was created in 1958 by the American physicist William Higginbotham, which is known as one of the first computer games in history. This game worked on an oscilloscope device that was controlled through buttons and joysticks. The goal of the players of this electronic game was to play tennis with each other. The game set the blueprint for computer sports games and had a significant impact on the evolution of the video game industry. Following the popularity of Tennis for Two, 4 years later, Spacewar, created in 1962 by students at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, became one of the world's first popular games. In this game, two spacecraft battled each other in space. As one of the first multiplayer computer games, Spacewar was ideal, allowing for social interaction between players. The game was very popular at the time, and even a few years later, and several similar games were produced at that time. Back then, it wasn't easy to make good games until game engines came along. In 1985, the first game engine was created. Gary Kitchen's GameMaker, published by Activision for various home computer systems, was the first integrated development environment for game creation and can be considered an early game engine. 13 years later, one of the best game engines that everyone knows now called Unreal Engine was introduced. In the 90s, the gaming industry was plagued by many technical problems and limitations. Game graphics were very basic and simple, and realistic images were not presented. In addition, game development was a complex and time-consuming process, and the available tools did not allow developers to be creative and innovative. These problems prevented developers from creating games with high quality and graphics. The need for a powerful tool that would eliminate these limitations was felt more than ever. It was in this situation that Tim Sweeney, the founder of Epic Games, decided to find a solution to these problems. He came to the conclusion that he needed to create an engine that would create a realistic and productive world. So he built the Unreal Engine. 7 years later, one of Unreal Engine's biggest competitors was introduced called Unity. Unity is a multi-platform game engine developed by Unity Technologies and was first introduced and released in June 2005 at Apple's World Developers Conference as an exclusive game engine for macOS. Although there were many game engines, some companies were not interested in using them and built their own game engine. For example, Rockstar, which uses its own game engine called Rage Engine, or CD Projekt, which uses Red Engine. But why do some companies make their own game engines? 1. Customization. Proprietary engines can be tailored specifically to the studio's needs, allowing for unique features and optimizations that better suit their projects. 2. Control. Developing their own engine gives studios full control over updates, performance, and compatibility. They can prioritize features and fixes that align with their development goals without waiting on third-party engine updates. 3. Cost efficiency. While developing an engine can be expensive initially, it may save money in the long run, especially for studios that produce multiple games. They avoid licensing fees associated with third-party engines. 4. Innovation. Having an in-house engine can foster innovation, as developers can experiment with new technologies and techniques without the constraints of a commercial engine. 5. Performance optimization. Custom engines can be optimized for the specific hardware and performance requirements of the games being developed, leading to better performance and graphical fidelity. 6. Learning and expertise. Building an engine can enhance the skills and knowledge of the development team, leading to better overall game design and development practices. 7. Long-term vision. Studios with a long-term vision may prefer to invest in their own technology to ensure they can adapt to future trends and needs in the gaming industry. But if all companies have their own game engines, what's the point of common game engines like Unreal Engine or Unity and the like? This is where independent studios come in. These studios are unable to build their own game engine due to lack of resources, people, and budget, so they use public game engines. In addition to games made by independent studios, we can mention Sifu or Outlast. Currently, due to the ease of making games thanks to game engines, at least 2,500 games are made annually, which is an extremely high number and shows the progress of the game industry. But have you ever wondered how these game engines work? These engines consist of 6 main components: game core, graphics engine, physics system, sound system, AI engine, scripting system. The game core contains the game logic. This part defines the algorithms, events, and main actions of the game. Important decisions such as motion validation, resource management, and game mechanics are implemented here. The graphics engine or rendering engine is the part of the game engine that processes and displays the game graphics. These tools include technologies and algorithms for rendering images, lighting, and visual effects. Rendering engines can use different techniques such as ray tracing, raster, or voxel rendering to achieve different levels of realism and performance. Modern game engines have stunning graphics power and help ease the game production process. A physics engine is a tool that uses the laws of physics to calculate and simulate the physical behavior of objects in the game. These components allow developers to model realistic reactions such as gravity, collision, friction, and flow. A sound engine is a tool that uses sound to create and manage sounds in games. Developers have the ability to design game sounds from scratch. These sounds include music, environmental sounds, sound effects, background music, and character voices. Sound engines can use various formats such as WAV, MP3, or OGG to store and compress audio files. AI engines can use various algorithms such as finite state machines, behavior trees, neural networks, or genetic algorithms to generate complex and adaptive behaviors. Scripting systems: some engines allow developers to write and execute parts of the game as scripts using programming languages such as Lua or Python. Overall, all of these components interact with each other to create a complete and engaging gaming experience. Anyway, I am Mr. Paper and I make videos on this channel about any topic. If you're interested in such content, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. Also, the idea and topic of each video is selected from your comments in the previous video. So comment if you have any idea. Maybe the topic of the next video will be taken from your comment.
Today's knowledge.
Did you know that the shortest war lasted 38 minutes and was between the Zanzibar and England? The main reason for the war was the death of the pro-British Sultan Hamad bin Thawani al-Busaid and his succession by Khalid bin Barghash al-Busaid. In the aftermath of the battle, 500 defenders of Zanzibar were killed, and Khalid bin Barghash al-Busaid sought refuge in the German embassy, from where he fled to Southwest Africa, where he became a refugee.